Welcome back to my two-part video of how France won the 2018 World Cup. In this video, we'll focus on the attacking side of how France achieved their success. Before we start, however, let me remind you that on the link below the video, you can get access to the FIFA World Cup 2022 tactical guide, where I analyze the 4 South American teams that will aim to compete and win the World Cup in Qatar. Unsurprisingly, given that France had much less possession than their opponents, their initial attacking strategy was to counterattack. So what they would do is they would absorb the pressure, and as soon as they regain the ball, aim to generate a fast attack. And in fact, when I analysed the length of France's successful attacks, 15 out of 26 attacks when the ball was regained in the defensive half came from attacks of less than 20 seconds. And two key players were instrumental in helping them generate so many successful counterattacks. They were Mbappe, whose speed and power was able to penetrate past the backline defense, and Paul Pogba, whose range of passing as well as his power to break through the midfield were really important in helping France generate those successful fast counterattacks. When France regained possession, they would aim to play early into one of two spaces. The first space was the space between the opponent's defensive and midfield line, so this space here. And so the likes of Pogba or the likes of other midfield players, when they had the opportunity to, they would drive through the line and attack the back line thereafter. Or they would aim to make an early pass into the space in behind the defense. Let me show you some examples of this. Here we can see France regain the ball in the defensive third, and unfortunately for Argentina, it lands on Mbappe's feet, who uses speed to break through into that midfield line in the space we were talking about, and then dribbles past the fullback and earns himself a penalty. France's second option was just to play an early direct pass into the space in behind. We can see here this happening. Pogba plays in behind for Griezmann, who dribbles past the defender and then almost creates a goal scoring opportunity. And here is another example, this time of France working their way through and then finding a player who can drive through that midfield area and then attack the back line. Here's another example, this time against Belgium. You can see that compact defense, backward tackles from Pogba and Golo, and then Griezmann uses his speed, another great dribble of the ball, goes through that midfield line and then aims to attack the back line, but chooses to make an early shot. When France were not able to counter-attack quickly, they would aim to play the ball in behind in the next phase possible. And so in order to do this, Mbappe would move high and wide, and this start position would allow him to receive an early pass in behind or receive the ball to feet so he can then take on a fullback one-on-one. Let me show you some examples of how France were able to do this effectively. The first video was against Belgium. In the opening seconds, you can see Mbappe out wide, and then here takes on the defender, and then beats the following covering defender. And here another example, this time his high and wide start position allows him to receive a pass in behind the Croatian defence, which ultimately led to their third goal against the Croatians. If the opposition were effective in reducing the space in behind by dropping off, and if France then had more controlled possession, they would then impose their third layer of their attacking strategy. And this tactic involved the following position rotations. Firstly, Mbappe would drift inside to provide that third centre forward option alongside Giroud and Griezmann, and this opened up the space for France's fullbacks, Pavard on the right and Hernandez on the left. And this was a very common strategy to try and get the fullbacks high to then deliver a cross, which led to a number of chances and goals being scored in the knockout stages. For example, the video I play here shows an example of Pavard moving high and Hernandez moving high on the left against Belgium. We can see how Pogba and N'Golo Kante in the middle, Matuidi trying to receive him between the lines, and then you can see Hernandez in the last moment moving higher to then deliver a cross. And here is another example. Let me show you the shape here. Now, we've got Pavard, the right back here, high and wide. We've got Hernandez, the left back here, high and wide. We've got Mbappe, Giroud, and Griezmann as the three centre forward options. And we've got Matuidi, N'Golo, and Pogba as that midfield three. So essentially, France modified the shape to be a 2-3-5 attacking system when they had controlled possession of the ball in order to try and break down the defensive block. And this move actually led to France's equaliser against Argentina. Hernandez receives the ball on the left and then crosses it to Pavard, the right back, on the right. And here we have a very similar example, this time for France's third goal against Argentina. Both fullbacks go high. Hernandez is high on the left-hand side. Matuidi also joins in with the attack. Hernandez then delivers a cross, and then it rebounds for a France player who then is able to score and get Argentina into a winning position. So what we've seen so far is that France were very effective in a counter-attack situation. They're also very effective in breaking down an opposition block. But when those opportunities weren't possible, they then had the threat from set pieces to be able to win the game, even when not able to break them down in open play. And this is a huge characteristic of any successful team. Not only are they good in open play situations, but in set pieces too. And in fact, what we can see here is that France were most successful from free kicks, indirect free kicks, where the ball was played into a central space in front of the opposition backline. Here, for example, was a screenshot of France's first goal against Uruguay, where Griezmann plays an in-swing cross into the space in front of Uruguay's backline, who would drop off to protect the space in behind, and then Varane was in that space in front of them to head in the first goal of the match. And here are some other examples of chances created from free kicks. Again, the cross is going into the space just in front of the backline who drop off, and an interesting tactic to try and create those winning moments from set pieces. And so this brings this two-part video of how France won the World Cup to a close. And I guess the final thing to finish off on is, what can we as coaches and as players learn from France's success and apply into our own settings? What we learned in the first video was how compact France were in between the lines, which really limited the space for the opposition to play through their defensive block. And it's something for us to consider also within our teams. How compact is our team in preventing those passes through our block? The second thing we learned was how effective France were in counter-attack situations. And I guess the question we should ask ourselves as coaches is, do we have a clear idea of how we want to counterattack? Who are our most effective players in fast attacking moments? France had Pogba and Mbappe, and they used their strengths to their advantage. We should also do the same for our key fast attacking players. The third thing we learned was when France were not able to counterattack, they also had a very effective plan B. They were able to use positional rotations during the build-up phase to unbalance an opposition defence. Mbappe came inside, fullbacks went higher, They will then deliver the crosses into the penalty box for Giroud, for Griezmann and Mbappe to attack. The question for us is, what positional rotations do we use to try and unbalance the defence? And when is it the right moment to make these positional rotations? France had established a sustained amount of possession before they did this, and sometimes from my observations, some teams, especially at youth level, uses positional rotations way too early before they actually have controlled possession. And this can lead to transitional moments which can actually hurt us more. And the final thing I think that's important to state is how flexible France were in adapting their game strategy. When they were winning, they were happy to defend and sacrifice possession, but when they were drawing, losing, or needing a goal, they were very clear and very happy to have back possession of the ball, and they had a clear idea of how they were going to try and unbalance the defence to try and score. If you've managed to stay with me all the way to the end, then thank you to you. And if you haven't done so already, make sure you click the like button and press subscribe for any more videos I do over the season. Bye bye and ciao for now.